subtracting whole numbers, basically the same as the addition whole numbers, you just are subtracting. So a whole number is a number without any decimals or fractions. When completing a subtraction problem, we calculate the difference between two numbers. So adding is whole or is sum, subtracting is the difference. For a subtraction problem, though, the larger or biggest number must be the top number. Place value matters when subtracting whole numbers. Numbers should line up to the far right, just as addition. When a top number is smaller than the bottom number, we must borrow from the neighbor next door. Borrowing is something we oftentimes forget about. So if I had an example of 92, subtract 5, I have to come up and borrow from the 9, make that an 8, 12, so then 12 subtract 5 is 7, and then I would bring down my 8. So 87 would end up being my answer to that problem when I borrowed. What types of words could we associate with story problems when we have subtraction, or when we're doing subtraction problems? We could find difference, more than, less than, how many more, fewer than, how many left over. So each of those is a good word to look for when you're trying to determine what type of problem you're completing. Going over some of our examples here. So if I had 999, subtract 75. Like I said, we need to make sure we line up our numbers correctly. 9 subtract 5 is 4, 2, and then we bring down the 9. All right, so just like before, we're going to actually type that onto when we get to our assignment. So 924, and then I'm going to actually highlight that so I know it's my final answer. Moving on to our next example, if I have 1,563 and I subtract 432, I go ahead and do my subtraction. I get 1, 3, 1, 1. All right, comma's not necessary, but obviously we can go ahead and put that in. So 1,131 is my final answer. And then last but not least, if I have 1,236 subtract 928, I have to borrow right away. So I'm going to borrow from 3, make it a 2, make that 16. 16 subtract 8 is 8. 2 subtract 2 is 0. Then I have to borrow from the 1. That comes 0. 12 subtract 9 is 3. So then my final answer for that would be 308 when I go ahead and do my borrowing. Make sure you go ahead and you fill out this note sheet if you are one of my distance learners before you go ahead and actually start on the assignment.